Am I the a-hole for how I reacted to my wife's pregnancy announcement? My wife, female 26, and I, male 30, decided to start having kids. We've been trying for over 9 months and nothing happened. We were told to be patient, but I couldn't help but keep stressing out about a problem that's preventing us from conceiving. The issue is that my wife kept joking about this matter and pranked me twice by lying to me saying she was pregnant. The first was when I was at work, and she sent a text telling me she was pregnant. I was so happy, came home and brought stuff with me to celebrate, only to find her laughing in my face saying it was a prank. Second time was when she told me she was pregnant and was recording my reaction during and after the prank. Again, laughing, telling me it was a prank, but this time she shared the video with her family. I told her I didn't appreciate how she laughs about a serious matter, then having me believe it was true to ruin my happiness. She stopped for 2 months. Last night, we were at my parents' house sitting having dinner when she said she had a gift for me. She had my sister go bring a small teddy bear with a note on it and gave it to me. I was nervous and worried about her pulling some of her pranks on me in front of my family. I read the note that the teddy bear had, and it said that I was going to be a daddy. I looked at my wife, and she smiled at me and congratulated me, saying she was pregnant. I saw red completely. I said that's it. I got up from my seat and tossed the piece of paper on the table and just snapped, telling her to stop making fun of something so serious and sensitive. I told her I was done with her lack of respect and sympathy for the most important thing that I've been struggling with, and to include my parents in her prank too was low. My wife excused herself to the bathroom. My mom and dad weren't aware of what was happening, and they literally paused and asked what the hell is wrong with me. My sister said my wife was actually pregnant and just confirmed by tests that she's seen with her own eyes. I felt both happy and devastated because I thought she was pulling the same prank again and I got fed up with it. My wife was mad and argued with me in the car, saying I ruined her joy and made her look awful in front of my family, as well as lashing out at her as my reaction to the happy news. She said she told me in front of my parents to show me she was serious this time. She had her mom call to berate me and said her poor daughter will suffer with my boorish behavior and lack of respect for her. My wife has been giving me the cold shoulder ever since. Am I the a-hole here? She told me I ruined the moment she's been waiting for so long for and that she'll remember my reaction for the rest of her life. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. This is a classic case of the little boy who cried wolf, but instead, it's the grown adult who faked a pregnancy announcement. I don't blame you for thinking it was fake, being that she's done this twice before and shared with family. I do think you could have reacted better, but I understand the frustration. Your wife sounds incredibly immature to be having a child, especially sicking her mom onto you. Couples therapy before the little one gets here is a good idea, not just for this, but to help iron out parenting differences that will pop up. Congrats on the happy news. Based on the information, I agree with not the a-hole. But I'm suspicious of their relationship in general, plus his reactions the first few times. I know that if my significant other pranked me like that even once, we would be having a series of conversations that both conveyed how much they hurt me, and how they can never do anything like that again. The fact that she even thought it was okay to prank him a second time is a huge red flag to me that Opie doesn't communicate properly, or there's more to the relationship than Opie's letting on. It's messed up by the wife too, but we knew that. Like I said, I agree with not the a-hole for now, but I feel there's a lot more to this we weren't being informed about. At the very least, Opie has major communication issues. Not the a-hole. You reap what you sow. Your reaction was very natural. To be honest, your wife's behavior is quite disturbing. Lying about being pregnant and recording your reaction plus sharing it. Honestly, she kinda deserved it in my book. Play back the recording she took. Mention the time before that. Apologize for your reaction, but she should also apologize and understand it was bound to happen given her prior antics. My parents said I should have apologized right there, right then, but I felt so overwhelmed because all I kept thinking about was that I wish I waited before blowing up like that, which is my biggest regret. But I really thought she was pranking me, especially with the teddy bear and the note. My wife did try to pull pranks on me in other ways, but never went as far as to joke about something as serious as this. Not the a-hole. It reminds me of an old story, The Girl Who Cried Pregnant. Ah yes, a tale as old as time itself. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for calling out my mother-in-law's birthday party what it was? I am getting married in a week and my mother-in-law has been a nightmare. She is extremely jealous. And not in a I'm stealing her little boy way. She doesn't even like him that much, lol. But because she never got a wedding. She's now banned from all wedding planning. She's usually a little witchy, but she was clearly holding back a lot of anger. She broke down crying multiple times about how she never gets anything. I pointed out that she is wealthy / has a great job, beautiful house, lots of stuff. And she got mad and said she worked for that, and no one has ever given her anything. She started dating someone new around the time we got engaged. They're pretty serious now, and at least she doesn't come around much. But she's still a witch about the wedding. She has already said she doesn't want to be in the pictures, doesn't want a mother-son dance, and pretty much just wants to be left alone that day. Around that time, she stopped participating in the wedding planning and started planning her birthday party. It was a milestone, so I didn't think much of it. The party ended up spiraling into something super elaborate, and my guess is she's spending double what we are on the wedding. Honestly, I came from a family that really values helping out, so I was kind of surprised when she didn't offer money for the wedding, but I know she isn't obligated. Honestly, her birthday was Saturday and Dad was jealous. It was much nicer than my wedding is going to be. Her dress was amazing, and white of course, but I tried not to think too much of it because my fiancé comes from a social circle where parties like that aren't uncommon. She cried when her boyfriend gave her a gift and whined about how no one has ever given her anything before, though like I said, she is wealthy and has plenty. After the party, she made a comment about how she looks better in white than I do. We're different races, and I think most people agree that darker skin looks nice in white, so yeah, she does, but still a witchy thing to say. I looked right at her and said she looked beautiful at her fake wedding. She played dumb, so I said that is what it was. The wedding she didn't get, and she was trying to compete with her own son, which was pathetic. I stormed out, but I actually felt really bad because it was her once-in-a-lifetime event. So I went back to apologize and she was playing around with her boyfriend. Totally giggly and not bothered, so I just left. Now, some people think I was an a-hole because it was her milestone birthday, and parties like that aren't common, so they said I was projecting and being narcissistic. Her boyfriend also was crap-talking me the next day apparently, and it caused a fight between her and my fiancé about a car he drives that she owns. Everyone sucks here. I don't even know where to begin with this. But honestly, you both acted like absolute children. Stop being mad about what you don't have, and be grateful for what you do. Lol, it reads like a bad cartoon. Everyone sucks here. That saying about men choosing a wife who's a lot like their mother might be in effect here. Everyone sucks here. She baited you and you fell for it. She's petty, but you're not far off. I think it will be best for you and your fiancé to cut her off. Hook, line, and sinker. Opie and mother-in-law deserve each other. That being said, I hope she continues to post over the years because I want to hear more about their inevitable shenanigans. I was leading into everyone sucks here, but I'm going with you're the a-hole. You spoiled her milestone birthday party because you were jealous. You feel she should not be sad about gifts because she has money. Gifts are gifts. Very jealous you are. She really didn't care, so I wouldn't say I spoiled it. When I tried to apologize a couple of minutes later, she was laughing and didn't seem to care at all. It was also the very end of the night. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for dissing my husband's medical condition? My husband has a medical condition which is incurable and the symptoms are many. I've always been supportive throughout his journey. Part of his condition means that he has severe daily explosive diarrhea, and his skin on hands and feet are extremely dry and crackly. He also has bladder incontinence. I've always tried to be supportive. When he is insecure about the smell in the bathroom, I always act as if I can't smell anything, when really most days I'll have to hold my breath when I go in. If he's worried about how he smells, I always reassure him that he smells fine. I shave off his dead skin weekly to the point where I'm covered in powdered dead skin and will need to have a shower. I do this all without complaint. My husband is also a complete neat freak. Now, whilst I do all the cooking in the house, I'm terrible at cleaning. It's not something I enjoy doing, and I'm always lazy when it comes to it. I'm not the dirtiest person in the world to live with either. I wash the dishes, do the laundry, and clean the bathroom as often as I can, but there are days when I just can't be bothered, so I leave it. Now the problem. My husband gets super annoyed when things are not tidy. We've had arguments before where he's called me a dirty pig, says I'm disgusting to live with, and has said I'm gross for leaving the dishes at the sink without cleaning up after myself. Because of these comments, I've become super insecure. I spoke to him about it before and told him his comments have made me feel uncomfortable living in my own home. He says he doesn't mean it and just says it to hurt me during an argument, but he doesn't actually mean it. Recently, my husband was studying and I was trying to talk to him about something that happened during the day. He kept cutting me off mid-sentence, saying things like, "Put your mug away, put the mop back where you found it, etc., which I found rude. I told him to let me finish talking and to stop interrupting. He replied back fine, and then when I finished saying what I had to say, he was just silent and had nothing to say back. I was annoyed. I hoovered early that day and left the hoover out without putting it back into the closet. He asked me to put it back, and I said, "Why can't you do it?" He got mad and suddenly started arguing with me, calling me gross to live with, and he knew I was already insecure about that. I lost it. I replied saying, "You know what's gross? The smell you leave in the bathroom each time you use it. It's disgusting." He sat there in horror and said, "I can't believe you used my medical condition against me in an argument." I replied, "Don't think you can disrespect me and I'll just sit there like a lame duck. Don't think you can use my insecurities against me and I won't use yours." He sat there and cried all night. We haven't spoken since. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. You're in an abusive relationship. He's admitted to you that he says things only to hurt you. He may want to devalue you so that he doesn't have to risk losing you and your support. One thing these people do is push their partner to the point of retaliation, so their partner feels they deserve the mistreatment. You shouldn't have said that, but it sounds like you're starting to buckle under the weight of his emotional and verbal mistreatment. For that reason, not the a-hole. You don't deserve this. Why do you stay? I strongly get the impression that he is trying to make her feel worthless so she won't leave him. A man riddled with insecurities about his health issues. Health issues or not, husband is an a-hole with no idea how to treat a partner. OP, he deserved to hear your comment, and you deserve better. Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking as well. Anyone that memorizes what hurts you the most, and then uses it to hurt you when they are upset, needs to get dropped and fast. I'm not at all one of the people that call for people to break up that slightest thing in the sub, but this is toxic as hell. Yeah, and him saying, "I'm just saying this to hurt you, I don't actually mean it," that's not an excuse. That's just a confession. I can't say to the cop who's arresting me, "Look guy, I only broke into that store to steal some stuff I wanted. It's not like I love robbery or anything." So let me get this straight. He's allowed to continually put you down just for how you are as a person to the point you've had to tell him is hurting you multiple times, and he tells you he specifically says it to hurt you, and then he has the nerve to get upset because you say something hurtful back? Nope, doesn't work like that. I have no sympathy for him at all. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. People snap. He pushed and pushed and pushed. Was it nice? No, but mild in my opinion. Also, you let yourself called a pig? You need to take some time, favorably away from him, and think this over. Your love and compassion are met with disinterest and absolute disrespectful behavior. I think he feels disgusting in projecting that onto you. He needs therapy. Maybe you too, for your self-esteem, and probably couples therapy if this shall continue. I'm normally not in the you need therapy team. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for ignoring my spouse's thinking on her own diet and weight loss approach? My spouse is overweight to the point she has difficulty standing, let alone walking. She's considered partially disabled due to this limitation, handicap placards and all that. I won't get into specifics of her weight. But necessarily, I do all the shopping and the cooking. Recently, I got fed up with her eating habits, or more specifically my role in it, and acted in maybe a passive-aggressive manner. Generally, she makes a list of food/meals she wants for the week. I shop for them, and I cook them. These are a mix of healthy things, fruits/veggies and lean meats, and unhealthy things, processed foods, sweets, and several pounds of red meat like pork chops she likes fried. She's gained weight steadily eating like this for decades, but insists she has her diet and nutrition, if not her weight, under control. In reality, she's up 30 to 40 pounds in the last year. about 15 more than average, and has a cholesterol of 350 plus. And as I said, she can't really walk much because of her current weight-related mobility issues. So after returning from the last trip to the store, I informed her that I wasn't cooking or buying anything unhealthy anymore. I had only bought healthy foods, and that is all that I would cook. This led to a knockdown big argument. We have had this discussion numerous times before, but it always ended with her saying something like, "Respect that I know what I'm doing about my body, please." With tears sometimes. But instead of discussing this time, I just didn't get what she wanted, the unhealthy stuff, and cooked a Mediterranean dish meal when I got home. I could be the a-hole for blatantly ignoring her requested wishes without discussion, and for not believing she has a working strategy about what she needs to get and keep a healthy weight. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. You stopped enabling her. Good for you. She'll either eat what you bring home or go get bad stuff herself. Either way works. Yes, I say this as someone overweight. You are doing her a favor. She might not like it, but she is in denial. Honestly, she needs to work for that food. To eat those calories, you need to be moving around a lot. She needs to be burning those calories. You need to be harsh but fair. A small treat is good, but a full box of treats is not. I've always had a fear that my dad would turn out like this as he is very overweight, but he's not disabled from it. Still not healthy though. I have bluntly told him in the past, if you don't get out of bed, you don't eat. I'm not feeding you. Not a hole. Not a hole. If she cannot even walk because of her weight, she needs help right now. She needs to see a specialist, make an appointment with a dietitian as well, and perhaps have some therapy as well. You keep cooking healthy. Don't cave in and don't enable her. My partner's a dietitian. They would be able to help educate both you and your partner. Not a hole. She has the right to eat what she wants. She doesn't have the right to force you to participate. You shouldn't have to buy or prepare foods you aren't comfortable serving her. Ideally, you could have an adult conversation about this, but it's her behavior that's making that impossible. If an alcoholic wants a beer, you'd be an a-hole for knocking it out of their hand, but you wouldn't be obligated to go buy them one. First story is titled, "Am I the a-hole for telling my boyfriend that he has no say on whether or not my son goes to his bio dads?" I had my son 7 years ago when I was 20. His father didn't think he was ready to be a dad because he was a heavy partier and has never met him. But he has always been on top of child support payments. He wanted to pay because he didn't want to be a deadbeat. A year and a half ago, I met my current boyfriend. He moved in after 8 months. From the very beginning, I made it incredibly clear that if my child's father ever wants to meet our son, I was going to allow it. My son deserves to know who his father is. Currently, my son has only seen pictures, and he asks about his dad often. Now, my boyfriend claimed to be 100% okay with this. He has no kids of his own, but stepped in as a step-parent for my boy. He doesn't pay for anything of my son. Me and his bio father do, and while I don't have contact with my son's father, we still maintain a very civil relationship when we do speak. 2 weeks ago, his bio dad got a hold of me and said he thinks he is ready to meet him. He has since dropped the entire partying lifestyle and seems to be pretty well off, considering his upbringing. I responded and we set up a date, which in the end he couldn't meet. He was T-boned and his vehicle was totaled when he was on the way to the meeting spot. He sent me pictures. During all of this, my boyfriend didn't say anything, so I had no reason to believe there was an issue. However, last night, he told me that he doesn't want his son to meet his real dad. He says, what if he likes him more than me? Or, why does he feel like he can't just step in after 7 years? He has tried convincing me to tell my son's father that he isn't seeing him. I told him no, that this is my decision and I have been clear about my stance since day one. That I understood his concerns, but ultimately, this is for my son's benefit. He is sulking now and saying I'm being insensitive to his feelings. Well, I personally think it's a selfish request. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. You're 100% correct that this is your choice and not your boyfriend's. The fact that your boyfriend's arguments were all about him, what if he likes him more than me, is really troubling. Admittedly, I don't see the whole relationship, but he sounds incredibly self-centered. I would consider this a warning sign for the future. It feels like the boyfriend doesn't really get what it is to be a parent. Many decisions are based on what is best for the child, especially one of this magnitude. He needs this aspect of parenting clearly laid out for him. That may help him understand. Absolutely. And unfortunately, sometimes what is best for the child is not what the parents feels good about. Not the a-hole. It is a selfish request. This isn't about your boyfriend. It's about your son, and your boyfriend needs to grow up and realize this. This isn't even someone who's been around that long, or her husband. If OP is 27, I assume the boyfriend is around the same age, aka too old to be acting like a child. No a-holes here. Sounds like the boyfriend is somewhat naturally leery about what effect on your son this introduction of biodad will have. That's perfectly natural, and I would hope/presume you have those same thoughts and feelings. The boyfriend knows it's your sole decision, which may actually make him feel even more threatened/dispensable/not relevant, if you know what I mean. I'm giving boyfriend the benefit of the doubt here, by hoping the boyfriend not being truly jerky or controlling. Is he, in other ways? I'm just seeing another possible point of view. Is his position regarding himself here self-centered/selfish? Yes, but it's also somewhat normal given the circumstances, and hopefully is a strong indication of his true attachment to your son. So of course, you're right to say boyfriend has no say, but maybe try to be somewhat sensitive to his feelings of displacement. I think it's the very fact that your boyfriend has no say is what's bugging him, if you know what I mean. Basically, what he said, no a-holes here. Your son will almost definitely like his bio dad better, especially since he's going to be trying hard to win his favor. That's the cross most stepdads must bear. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for separating a child from its mother? I'm really confused right now. Everything is really raw. The baby is safe and sitting on my lap right now. My wife, Nicole, and I have been together for 8 years. I loved her. She was my son. I was really happy when I learned that I was going to be a dad. I've always wanted to raise children, while Nicole didn't really care. She gave birth to a baby girl, Kaya, about 18 months ago. I love Kaya. She is my little sweetheart. We are very close. I'm a stay-at-home dad, since I work from home and earn decently. Nicole goes to work. Nicole isn't really into the labor of a kid. She just likes to do the fun stuff. Kaya's always been closer to me than Nicole, since I feed her, clean her, all that fun stuff. I found out Nicole has been sleeping with my cousin. They've been on and off for about 2 years. She stopped when she got pregnant, and then recently started her affair again. Kaya isn't biologically mine, as in cousin is her father. My cousin is an idiot and want nothing to do with children and never really cared much about babies, especially Kaya. He knew about Kaya possibly being his and just didn't care. He still refused to be her dad after paternity test. I've been depressed since all this came out and Nicole decided to leave our house. She found an apartment and all and was taking Kaya with her. I didn't protest at first because I was distraught about the paternity test and admit got a bit distant with my little nut. Well, they were moving today and I spent a lot of time with Kaya since she was going away and I didn't know when I was going to see her again. I'm struggling with the paternity, but I can't change that I raised Kaya and she calls me Dada. Nicole made a huge show of leaving and was telling Kaya to say bye-bye to the house and to Dada. Kaya was really confused and she didn't want to leave with Nicole because frankly, she doesn't go anywhere alone with Nicole much. Well, Kaya made a fuss and kept shouting Dada and reached out to me. I don't know what came over me, but I just took her from Nicole's arms and told Nicole I'm keeping her and that she could leave. Nicole tried to get Kaya for me, but Kaya wouldn't budge and kept crying. She finally left and said she'd be back later to get her blood. Her mom is calling me now and saying that Kaya is not mine and it's cruel to separate a child from its mother. However, I can't bear to let Kaya go and she's happy at her home. Her mom doesn't even know what Kaya needs to eat. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments of this post. Not the a-hole. Lawyer up and apply for custody. Being a dad isn't about blood. Don't, however, let her mother back into your life and home, just so you can have Kaya around. That's what the mom and she are pushing for, really. She's happily left the childcare to you until now. She's now using blood to try and force you to let her come back. She cheated with your family for 2 years. She doesn't love or respect you. Not the a-hole. Unfortunately, it sounds like your ex-wife decided to care about your child when it became a bargaining chip. Not the a-hole. Go to the courthouse ASAP and file full emergency custody. You're likely able to gain it and have a proper trial later on. If you are on birth certificate, you've every right to do so. You've raised her most and likely able to prove she didn't do much and wouldn't be in child's best interest to go with her. LP, please do this. You don't know what your ex is doing right now, so you need to act fast and get your ducks in a row. Based on the fact that your ex doesn't even know what your daughter eats, I'd say you have a good chance of getting primary custody. Not the a-hole. Lawyer up and get full custody. I'm all for dads staying at home so mothers can work, but this is taking the piss. She hardly knows her own kid, and obviously doesn't have good morals. Your daughter, yes, your daughter. You raised her. Deserves better than her. He is actually a work-from-home dad, and he gets extra mad props from me, who is a stay-at-home mom to 2 kids. I can't even imagine how stressful it would be to work a job and also care for a small child. Update: I've contacted a lawyer, and he says I have a strong case. I'm also listed as the father on the birth certificate. Nicole hasn't contacted me again yet, and she hasn't come for Kaya. I don't know where she is right now. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for pursuing full custody because my ex asked me for help? My ex and I have 2 kids, 11 female and 8 male, together, and I have another with my current husband, 7 female. My ex usually has them every other weekend. Last weekend, my ex called me to come get my daughter at 1 a.m. Apparently, she had food poisoning, at least I think. She didn't have a fever or anything and was fine the next day except for a stomachache, and had run to the bathroom to throw up and ended up vomiting and pooing at the same time. I asked him to handle it because it was 1 a.m. and he lives almost an hour away, but he insisted he couldn't. I came over and found my daughter sitting on the bathroom floor crying, and there was vomit and poo everywhere because my ex hadn't cleaned it up. He said he was too disgusted and couldn't deal with it. I ended up cleaning the bathroom and wiping my daughter down with some washcloths. I woke my son up and took them both home, and we didn't get to bed until almost 4 a.m. The next day, I called a lawyer and then informed my ex that I was pursuing full custody because he clearly can't handle having the kids if he can't take care of them when they're sick. He obviously disagrees, and now I also have mutual friends and my dad saying that I don't understand how hard it is to be a single parent because I have my husband to help, and it wasn't his fault that he was overwhelmed. Am I the a-hole for pursuing full custody after this? Now let's read the top comments. He wasn't overwhelmed, he was disgusted. That right there should tell you what kind of parent he'll end up being. Not the a-hole. Added to add, I can't believe you cleaned his bathroom for him. Seriously? You're nicer than I would have been. Haha. Yes, should have cleaned up the kids and taken them with you and left the bathroom as it was. Your husband didn't help you clean that bathroom. You knew what to do on your own. If he can't clean up poop and vomit, he shouldn't have the kids, period. He's basically saying he shouldn't have to do it because it's women's work. Not the a-hole. I found my daughter on the bathroom floor crying, and there was vomit and poo everywhere. Yeah, no, it sounds like that's no longer a safe environment for them. Truth. CPS literally take kids away from situations where the kids are covered in their own filth/fluids. How hard is it to run a bath or shower, or comfort a sick child? I can't imagine what X would have done if Opie didn't swoop in. He left your daughter crying and covered in her own vomit and poop for over an hour. Not the a-hole. This, thinking of my child in that state for an hour, made my heart hurt. I would never ever be able to send them on a visit again without wondering how else has he been neglecting them. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my girlfriend she's being a witch? Before you jump to saying I am, read this all the way through. Friday, my son, 13, had a pretty bad day at school. He almost cried trying to tell me about it. Since she wasn't going to be there that night, I took him out to dinner and we rented a movie. When we started watching it, he sat in the recliner while I lay down on the couch. About halfway through the movie, he got up and came and laid on me. He used to do this when he was like 7, and I wasn't going to push him away. We ended up falling asleep. My girlfriend came home the next morning, and after we woke up, she asked to speak with me. She told me she was very uncomfortable when she walked in. She told me it just felt really wrong, and that he's way too old to be doing that. I told her that he just had a bad day, and he had every right to come to me. She just got mad and told me to never do it again. That's when I told her she was being a witch and to just drop it. He's my son, I'll do what I want. She ended up leaving and going back to her house. I'm thinking about ending things, but that's the only time she's ever done something like that. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole, he's your son. There was nothing inappropriate about it. Why was she uncomfortable with it? I hate to think what she would have said if you had a daughter rather than a son and she walked in on a similar situation. He's your son, and if he wants to cuddle with you, he's allowed. Go with what your gut is telling you. Maybe the girlfriend had a really bad relationship with her parents, so it's possible she can't understand what is and what isn't appropriate in a parent-child relationship. But if that's the case, what it means is that she needs to educate herself and not be so critical. Not the a-hole. Your kid had a bad day and wanted love/support from you. I did this with my parents on bad days, and it's the only way it made me feel safe again. You help your child, never feel guilty for that. Also, 13 is an awkward stage, and kids are still figuring out how to deal with emotions. I would ask your girlfriend about the situation and why she was so upset by it. There could be something deeper going on that you don't know about. However, I wouldn't keep her around if your parenting isn't something she agrees with. I'm 32, and I still hop in my mom's bed and cuddle her when I'm super overwhelmed. There isn't anything wrong with this. He's not the a-hole, and a girlfriend needs to bounce. Not the a-hole. Huge red flag. She sexualized a healthy relationship with your child. I wouldn't want to have children with a woman who thinks this way. If that's a big deal to you, cut her loose. She doesn't get to make comforting your son into something dirty, and then tell you to not do it again? Yeah, you got to go.
Am I the a-hole for telling my brother that maybe he's getting a visit from karma? I have a brother who has laid off from his software job almost a year ago. He hasn't been able to find anything since, and has been complaining on LinkedIn asking people for help. He tried Uber and food delivery, but hated it. Months ago, I told him to simplify his resume and apply for retail or fast food jobs, but he keeps using his tech resume because he thinks it impresses people. After a year of searching, it's clear that it doesn't. Now he's asking if he can move in with me because he has to sell his house before it goes to foreclosure. I told him no, partly because he has always looked down on me for getting married, and for neither me nor my wife having fancy tech jobs with benefits. My wife thinks he is arrogant and a player because when he was doing well in his career, he'd always bring around a different woman, and my wife had to pretend to be polite while knowing none of those relationships would last. I told my brother that he should look for a small apartment. He complained that even the cheaper apartments are around $2,500 a month now, and he feels like he'd just be throwing that money away. I explained that my house is already chaotic with 3 kids, and adding him and all his stuff would only make things crazier. He suggested he could buy a shed and store some of his things in a garage until he gets back on his feet. He also mentioned that the commute from my place would be long, but I should understand that he's already weighed the pros and cons, and he thinks he can make it work. I told him I've weighed the pros and cons too, and it's not going to work. When he sells his house, he needs to find somewhere else to live, because he's not moving in with us. He told me he'd remember this and that I didn't help him when he was at his lowest. I reminded him that I don't recall him ever helping us when we were struggling, so maybe karma is paying him a visit now. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole, but based on the way you talk about him in this post, it also sounds like you don't like your brother. I'm kinda wondering why I thought you'd let him move in with you in the first place. Maybe his ego? I don't know. Man, you definitely don't like your brother, eh? That's another reason I don't have to have him live with me. You're the a-hole. I already know I'll get downvoted, so go ahead. Look, you have every right not to let him move in with you. That's fair. You have your own family to worry about. But your question is whether or not you are the a-hole for telling him that he is getting a visit from karma. Yes you are. And you know you are, which is why you are asking the question. A non-a-hole response to his equally wrong and out-of-line comment would be, I'm sorry you feel that way. I wish I could help, but I really can't. Instead, you elected to shove a knife in and twist it. Whether or not your brother deserves this is immaterial. One is an a-hole based on one's own actions. Your actions were poor. Not the a-hole. You should have bit your tongue and not made that karma comment. But the main thing is that he cannot just demand of you what he does. It is perfectly okay if you don't want him moving in. So clearly, he is the a-hole for trying to press you to do something you don't want to do, and which would have a huge effect on your daily life and on your family. It's nicer than saying my wife can't stand his face. Next story. Am I the a-hole for taking my daughter's college fund back after she said she was going no contact? A bit of background. I'm a 45-year-old single mom of 2 kids, Ella 18 female and Jake 16 male. My husband passed away when the kids were young, and I've worked hard to support them both emotionally and financially ever since. He left behind a life insurance policy, and I've been saving part of that money for their college education. Ella has always dreamed of going to a prestigious college, and we've talked a lot about how important education is. I made sure she knew that the money I was saving for her and Jake was specifically for their education. I couldn't afford things like vacations or new cars, but I wanted them to avoid student loans. However, recently things have become difficult with Ella. She started dating a guy named Matt, 19 female, a few months ago, and I feel like her personality has changed since then. She's become distant, rude, and often dismisses anything I say. She'd say hurtful things, like that I smother her or treat her like a child. I've tried giving her space, but last week, during a heated argument, she said that once she goes to college, she's going no contact with me and won't look back. I was devastated. After everything I've sacrificed for her, hearing that she would cut me out was heartbreaking. I waited a few days to cool down, but I eventually decided that if she truly planned to cut me out of her life after college, I wouldn't continue funding her education. I told her that if she wanted to go no contact, she should consider her college fund off the table, and I would split it between Jake and myself for other things. She was furious and accused me of being vindictive, manipulative, and selfish. She believes I'm trying to control her by using the money against her. I've spoken to a few friends about this, and their opinions are divided. Some say that I'm within my rights since the money is mine to use as I see fit. Others say that I'm punishing her for her feelings and using the money to control her. So am I the a-hole for taking away my daughter's college fund after she said she planned to go no contact with me? No contact would mean no financial contact too. Why is your daughter so surprised that you'd financially cut her off when she cuts contact with you? I have this feeling the new boyfriend is stupid enough to think Opie is going to transfer hundreds of thousands of dollars to the daughter to pay for a full college degree. Money that I'm sure he has plans for, and it's not the daughter's tuition and board. That's what I thought too. He wants to cut out the other influences on her, then manipulate her to get the money. If she comes around on the no-contact approach, that's okay, but be wary of him trying to get her to wrest control of the funds in one bite. Depending on how twisted he is, they could fake a breakup, only for her to ask for financial independence a month later. This is not meant to throw shade at Opie's daughter. Young love is just more easily exploited than most parents want to realize. There are two big questions here. 1. Is it the new boyfriend's influence? Or 2. Is there an ongoing underlying issue with you and your daughter that you're either not mentioning or not addressing? Of course, we had arguments in the past, but not out of the ordinary. I believe her boyfriend is a bad influence. My best guess is boyfriend knows about the fund. Let her know you have always controlled it, that you sacrificed to not dip into it, that it's never been her money, and how she thinks she could even go to college while not having contact with you about that. I'm not going to weigh in on this because I feel there is not enough context for it. But, Opie, there's a good chance your daughter is being abused/manipulated. It sounds like the boyfriend is isolating her. Please keep an open mind that she might be a victim of manipulation. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my stepmom she's not an incentive for me to change my last name? My parents were never married, so I, 16 male, have my mom's last name. She passed away when I was 5. At that time, my dad was already married to my stepmom. I never really warmed up to her, mainly because I picked up on the tension between her and my mom. After my mom died, things got worse. My stepmom would say things like, "You're finally where you belong," and "I'm so happy you're my little boy now." Those comments made me feel really uncomfortable and unhappy. My dad was never very hands-on as a parent, and whenever I expressed how I felt, he would just tell me to accept being loved. 2 months after my mom passed, my oldest half-sister was born, and with all the changes, I felt really alone and sad. My stepmom was always trying to get closer to me, sometimes even hiring babysitters for an entire day so she could spend time with me to make me love her. It hurt her when I shut her out, but I hated hearing her call me hers. She would tell me that I was hers now and that I needed a mommy. She even used baby talk with me and kept doing it until I was almost 12. I think she thought it would make me warm up to her faster. She also started calling me by my middle name, James, because it was her dad's first name, instead of using my first name. Sometimes she'd ask if I wanted to change my name to James and be Grandpa's Jr. I always said no. When I was around 8 or 9, they tried to change both my first and last name. The first time, they didn't take me to court, but the judge said I needed to be present. So the next time, I was brought to court and asked how I felt about the name change. I said I didn't want to change my name, so they couldn't go through with it. I kept my name, my mom's last name included. It still bothers my stepmom that I don't share their last name. She has 3 girls and really wants her only son to share the same last name as the rest of the family. A few days ago, she talked to me again, trying to convince me to change my first and last name, like they had tried years ago. She told me to do it as a gift to her, saying it would make her really happy, and I could give it to her as a Christmas or birthday present. I told her that she wasn't a reason for me to change my name because I don't want to be her son, and I don't see her as my mom. She started crying and then called me spoiled and bratty. So am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Your stepmom is going to push you into going very low contact after you are of age. They ask, you said no. They need to accept this. And to then call you spoiled and bratty because you want to continue to honor your mom? Not nice. Dad too. He doesn't want to be a parent even though he has 4 kids. I don't respect that, and even less when he lets his wife get away with this kind of thing and backs her up even. Yes, he's the main reason you have to face this situation. He should grow a pair and confront his wife about her attitude. But it's so much easier to let things be and pave the way for a full no contact once you're on your feet. I'm sorry for all this. Big hugs. Not the a-hole. Your stepmom seems absolutely deluded. And your father just seems to want to go along with whatever she wants so that she can be happy, with no regard to your thoughts or feelings. They're giant a-holes for wanting to erase every part of your mother, and especially for trying to force a connection you don't want. I'm very curious, how did your father and stepmother meet? From what I'm getting, it seems like infidelity might have been involved. You're not her son. You don't want a connection with her, and them trying to change your name behind your back is scummy. Perhaps telling her the truth will finally get her to give up on this fantasy she has of you being her child. It's also interesting how quickly she was to turn on you when you rebuffed her affection. Not the a-hole. She needs therapy and needs to learn boundaries. They knew each other growing up and dated in high school but broke up before senior year. She always wanted to get back together with Dad, but before they met up again, he'd met Mom and they had me. They broke up when I was so young, but even still, I think my stepmom was so jealous that Dad had a kid before they could get back together. It wasn't hard to see she hated my mom back then. There were times she'd look so pissed when she'd see my mom. She's also jealous that Mom had a boy while she had 3 girls. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my parents to not include my stepdaughter in their will? I, 35 female, have 2 kids, 17, twins, boy and girl, and 1 stepdaughter, 18, when I met when she was 11. The other day, I was at my parents' house going over their estate planning, since I'm the executor. While reviewing their plan, I noticed that they had split their assets in half. 1 half for me and my 2 siblings, and the other half to be evenly distributed among their grandkids, including my stepdaughter. The estate isn't huge, but the amount each grandkid would get is still pretty substantial, thank new car money. I asked my parents about it, and they said they wanted to be fair. While I thought that was very generous of them, I told them I don't think it was necessary for my stepdaughter to be included, and that it would be better to split the inheritance between their 5 biological grandkids. When we got home, my husband told me he had overheard my conversation and said I was being an a-hole for excluding his daughter and potentially alienating her from the family. I explained my reasoning. My stepdaughter is the only child/grandchild/niece on her mom's side, and she's well taken care of. Her grandparents on that side own multiple properties. Her uncles are financially well off and live in a high cost of living area, and there's a good chance she won't have any cousins. Essentially, she's already set up for a life financially. On the other hand, my parents' estates would be split among 5 grandkids, and their collective net worth is significantly lower than my husband's family. I also asked him if his parents had included my kids in their estate planning, but he refused to answer. Despite my reasoning, he still called me an a-hole and accused me of not caring about his daughter's future. I believe I was just trying to be fair and look out for my kids and their cousins. So am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Everyone is in their feelings about it instead of looking at the actual facts. Your parents have 5 grandkids outside of her. Your parents can always leave her sentimental items. Your stepdaughter will get a large inheritance to herself. Your children aren't in your husband's parents' will. The last one being the biggest one. Why is it okay for them to exclude your children, but not the reverse? We don't support the hypocritic oath here. My mom plans on giving her a family heirloom jewelry set that is her birthstone, which I think is nice and thoughtful. It's not that I want to completely exclude her, I just feel it would be more meaningful towards my nibblings and kids. So then she's not left out. I'd ask your husband the exact question I ask. Why is he holding your parents to different standards than his own parents? Not the a-hole. You stated your opinion and it doesn't sound like you pressured them. I think your parents are kind, and it could be explained to your stepdaughter so her feelings wouldn't be hurt. Your husband needs to answer your question. Is your stepdaughter more important to him than his children with you? Does he not care about her future? If the stepdaughter's relatives' money was split with your children, it sounds like your future would be more secure. But I think it would be unfair to expect her relatives to share with unrelated children, and I would think they would not want to do so. I didn't pressure them. I just told them I didn't think it was necessary. I didn't even go into the details with them and left it at that. Nothing was changed over the course of our meeting. She is also set to receive a family heirloom jewelry set from my mom that happened to be her birthstone, which I thought was nice. And I don't expect them to share their assets with my kids. It's only ever been brought up with my husband because of this argument. I know she's set to receive a large portion, including 2 houses, because I saw some paperwork while cleaning my husband's office. It's a bit out of date, so I don't know if there's been an update, but it was drafted and I saw it shortly after he and I got married. I didn't bring it up to him then, because I didn't expect my kids to be included. Last story. Am I the a-hole for suing my best friend of 13 years after he pushed me into his shark-infested waters as a prank? I, 27 male, have been best friends with M, 27 male, for 13 years, and we've always been super close. Last week, we went on vacation to a beach state, and everything was going great, until something happened that changed everything. We were hanging out near a pier, taking pictures. There were hammerhead sharks in the water, clearly visible but far enough away that they weren't a direct threat. Suddenly, out of nowhere, my friend shoved me into the water. I freaked out, screaming, thinking I could die. Thankfully, a lifeguard pulled me out right away, but I was absolutely terrified. When I got out, I saw my friend laughing and filming the entire thing. I couldn't believe it. I didn't even say a word. I just went back to the hotel, packed my things, and finished the trip on my own. Later that night, he sent me the video, still making fun of the whole thing. I felt completely humiliated and betrayed. He had literally put my life in danger for a joke. When I got home, I spoke to a lawyer and decided to sue him. I used the video as evidence and he was served papers yesterday. He called me furious, saying it was just a joke and that I'm overreacting after 13 years of friendship. So am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. He's a prick. He shouldn't have endangered 13 years of friendship by scaring the heck out of you and possibly injuring you for chuckles. I read a story some years ago about a bridesmaid who pushed the bride into a pool as a joke. Bride broke her neck and was left paralyzed. It's not funny to do pranks like that. Not the a-hole. People really don't realize how dangerous falls or pushing someone can actually be, especially with dangerous surroundings.
My lesbian ex is jealous of my fiancé and wants me back. Plus updates. I, 31 male, was in a relationship with my ex, let's call her Macy, 30 female, for 4 years. 4 years ago, she came out as lesbian and told me she was in love with one of her close friends. She told me that while she didn't have romantic feelings for me anymore, she still loved me as a friend and wanted to keep a friendship with me. I agreed. Now looking back, I should have just went no contact with her, but I was hurt at the time and still didn't completely want her out of my life. Fast forward, I met my now fiancé, who we'll call Tina, 29 female, in March of 2020 and we started dating in June the same year. I love Tina more than anything. She's beautiful, kind to everyone, funny, and just overall has a great personality. My family loves her too. My 15-year-old sister even thinks of her as her best friend. She has also never given me any reason to question her loyalty, and since she knows how my last relationship ended, she figured I had a hard time trusting anyone, so she gave me access to her social media accounts and her cell phone. I would say I only went through those things once since we've been dating, because like I said, she doesn't give me a reason to question her loyalty. When I started dating Tina, Macy told me she was happy for me and once again apologized for what happened between me and her and told me that I deserved to be happy. About 2 weeks ago, I decided to pop this special question to Tina. I purchased a beautiful ring that I had been saving up for that I knew she would love, and I decided to do it on her birthday. Her family and I threw her a party, and I sent out a mass invite to all of my contacts in my phone, including Macy. She brought her girlfriend with her, which was completely fine with me. I think it's important to mention that the party was Macy's first time ever meeting Tina in person. When Macy and her girlfriend arrived, Macy was in a good mood. But as time went on, I noticed that her mood changed, and not in a good way. She mostly stood off to the side most of the party, and only spoke to a few people. She was also kind of rude to Tina when I introduced them. I can tell this bothered Tina, but she wasn't about to allow it to ruin her night. I could tell Macy was in an even more irritable mood when she noticed how much my family loves Tina. And she would make little dirty faces whenever Tina would touch me, and Tina is a very affectionate person, which I don't complain about, because I kinda am too, but I noticed that it was really bothering Macy. Other than all of that, the night was a success, and so was my proposal. Tina cried and said yes. When the party was over, Macy left without even congratulating us. I thought her behavior that night was weird, but didn't think too much about it. Then about 3 days after the party, Macy sent me a long text message saying how she was sorry again for the way things ended, for cheating on me and hurting me. She told me she never stopped loving me and that she wasn't happy with another woman and begged me not to marry Tina. I never replied to that message and I showed Tina immediately. Tina got understandably very upset and told me to go no contact with her and to tell her girlfriend about the text. And before you all jump to conclusions, no, I don't still have feelings for Macy. I love Tina so much and I couldn't imagine losing her. I just needed to get this entire thing off my chest. Now for the top advice before reading the updates. Congratulations. Looks like you are on the right path with fiancé with the open communication and no contact with old girlfriend. Do you know what would be awesome? Every time we make a decision, if we could just get the bonk noise or confetti, like, you can't make the decision again, but you can have instant feedback on how it plays out. Excellent. Yeah, I would love one of those years ago. I think she just saw what she wants than what he has, and is attracted to that, not him. But he represents a why not thought. Such as, well, why not me? I was good enough, just messed up. No takebacks. Love is a battleground in some ways. And you won, so take the win. She's jealous and wants to ruin what you have. Misery loves company. My ex tried the same rodeo with me and my wife. Go no contact. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Her girlfriend deserves to know, but just know that if you or Tina does tell girlfriend, then Macy may retaliate one way or another. I would only be telling the girlfriend if she was my friend. Backlash can be brutal in these types of situations, especially if she's already proven herself to be a manipulator. First of all, congratulations on your engagement. Your post reminded me of the time that my husband and I ran into his previous girlfriend on the street. At the time, we had been dating for about 6 months. We have now been happily married for over 30 years, and I honestly can still remember the look she gave me and her rude behavior towards me. Wow, if looks could kill. The guy she was with saw her reaction too and looked confused. Anyhow, my point is simply that some people cannot handle previous partners being happy. The fact that you are happy and moving on without her is causing her to be jealous. She most likely believes that she could, or should, be in Tina's position. I hope that you and Tina can laugh about Macy in 30 years. Again, congratulations. I had a somewhat similar experience, not with an ex, but with a friend. We were pretty much inseparable in the first year of uni, but her behavior towards me got weird. One day she'd be literally dangling off my arm, the next day she'd completely blanked me. I decided not to pursue anything further, and after shutting down her attempts at being affectionate a few times, she seemed to get the message and we drifted apart. Around a year later we ended up being friends again, but she didn't attempt any physical affection like before, and ultimately after graduating uni we drifted apart again. A few years later I was dating my wife and we went to a local festival. There, we ran into my friend and chatted a bit. The look my friend gave to my wife though, if looks could kill, then the festival would have been a bloodbath. I've not heard from my friend since. And now for the updates. First of all, thank you all for the positive comments and congratulations. Tina says thank you as well. I did indeed go no contact with Macy. I've blocked and deleted her on everything I can think of. I've took a screenshot of the message Macy sent to me and sent them to her current girlfriend. She thanked me for telling her, and I noticed that she took down any photos she had with Macy on her Facebook, so I guess they're over. Again, thank you all for congratulating us on our engagement. We will be getting married sometime in the summer of 2023. We plan to have a big wedding and we'll be planning for it the next couple of months. Second update. Let me just clear some things up for those few people who had something not so positive to say. 1. A lot of you asked why I kept looking at my ex at the party and why I even invited her. Like I stated in my original post, after we ended our relationship, she wanted to keep a friendship with me. Me being naive and hurt at the time, and still having some hope, agreed. Yes, I know, I should have cut her out of my life right then and there. But I'm sure we've all been there before and felt the way I did. When I started dating my fiancé, my ex told me she was happy for me and has always been positive about my relationship, and to my knowledge, she was into women, not men. I even made sure my fiancé was okay with me having her as a friend when we started dating. She didn't have a problem with it as she knows the situation that happened between us, and me and her both established that we trust each other 100%. And since she was someone I still considered a friend, it was okay to invite her to an event. She wouldn't have been there if she made me or my fiancé feel uncomfortable. A lot of you were asking why I kept looking at my ex. I wasn't. I observed everyone in the room, and like I said, she stood out most of the night. So that means at some point while everyone was having a good time, she chose to sit on the other side of the room away from everyone else. Who wouldn't notice that? And her attitude towards my fiancé when they spoke was unfriendly, but the both of us chose to brush it off since we did not want to ruin the night. So after that encounter, we both decided to just ignore her after that. 2. So the few of you that's assuming that there's something still there for my ex, there isn't. I wouldn't have ever gotten into another relationship, and damn sure wouldn't be marrying someone if I wasn't healed from my past. That would do nothing but hurt someone else. I didn't even talk to my ex that much before I went no contact with her. We would probably speak once every 2 months, and when we did, it was really a how are things going kind of thing. 3. One particular Karen for some reason got all super defensive and angry at the fact that I met my fiancé in a pandemic. Like I already told that person, there is something called FaceTime or video chat. Texting also exists. And we made ends meet the best we could. Since most places were closed, my fiancé would come over often for dinner or movie nights. We didn't become exclusive until June of that year 2020. Just wanted to clear that up for that particular person since I thought it was a dumb question to ask. I also have not heard from my ex since I blocked her. But we'll have to wait and see. Again, thank you all for the positive comments and wishes. I will try to keep you all updated on the wedding and planning it. Next story. My fiancé's been dating a woman our entire relationship. Plus update. My girlfriend and I met about 4 years ago, and things were great. We meshed really well, we had a lot of chemistry, and we never really fought. I asked her to marry me 6 months ago. She said yes. I was on top of the world, and we were making plans to buy a house on top of planning the wedding. A few weeks ago, she took a trip to see her best friend from college, Sasha. She flies to see Sasha maybe once or twice a year, and has for as long as I've known her. During quarantine, she road tripped, and when she got back, she seemed out of sorts. I asked her if something happened on the trip, but she said no. I decided to plan a surprise for her birthday, a video compilation of all her friends saying nice things about her for her birthday. I don't have Sasha's contact information, so I went into my girlfriend's phone while she was in the shower. I wasn't trying to snoop, but I pulled up Sasha's messages, and it just sprung out at me. Sasha had written, "I'm sorry I didn't give you the answer you wanted. You've always been too good for me. Go through with the wedding." I couldn't stop myself from scrolling up, and I didn't see anything else about the wedding. I thought she was having second thoughts about marrying me. There were a ton of messages. They were in constant contact all day every day, and I noticed a lot of very lovely messages. My girlfriend always tells her friends she loves them and that they're gorgeous, but these were like semi-intimate. I went into panic mode, and my girlfriend walked in the room before I could think things through. She asked me what was wrong because I was really pale. I just blurted out, "What's going on with Sasha? Do you not want to marry me?" We had a long argument, and she ended up admitting that she was in love with Sasha. They dated for 5 years before my girlfriend and I met, but Sasha is closeted, so they never told anyone except for their close circle. Sasha broke it off the same year we met, but they stayed friends. I knew my girlfriend is bi, but she never told me about a girlfriend. Then she admitted to cheating on me with Sasha and said she had been from the start. On her last trip to see Sasha, she told Sasha if she still wanted to be together and my girlfriend would call off the wedding, but Sasha said no. My girlfriend said she loves both me and Sasha. She said she never wanted to hurt me and always felt bad about cheating on me. But it's hard for her to ignore Sasha, so every time Sasha asked her to come, she went. We broke up, and I'm staying with my brother. I haven't told him or anyone else why we broke up. I don't even know where to start with canceling wedding stuff. Now for the top advice before the mini update. If your girlfriend felt bad about cheating, she would have told you or cut Sasha out. But instead, she continued to cheat on you. I am sorry, OP, but your girlfriend does not love you. And from what you wrote, I don't think she ever loved you. Your girlfriend loves Sasha. She was willing to call off the wedding to be with her. Did your girlfriend even apologize? Has she shown that she is taking responsibility for deceiving and cheating on you? I think you should tell people and family that the wedding is off. Then start calling vendors, caterers, photographers, and the other people you might have hired that the wedding is off. Talk to them about if you can get your money back. Also, you should get some therapy. It might help you process your emotions and make you feel better. You should also get tested for STDs or any other things, just to be on the safe side. Once again, I am so sorry, OP, that this happened to you. I wish you all the best. Stay strong. Lots of hugs. Yeah, I hope he didn't buy that BS about her loving him. She just wanted him to stay, but I'll put 10K that the second Sasha changed her mind, didn't matter if she was 5 years married to him with kids on the way, she would have left OP in a heartbeat. OP, you were just there till Sasha said yes. You were something to hold her over because she didn't want to be single. Like that post of a mother that left her family behind to be with her girlfriend, only returning few years later as soon as she had a breakup with girlfriend and expected her daughters would understand. Except they did not take the return with good eyes. Well, she's a very selfish POS. I love you both, but if she'd be with me, I would have broken it off with you in a heartbeat. Lying till the end. And poorly, wow. Sasha is also garbage, but at least she's smart enough garbage to know that this cheating, lying girl isn't worth the hassle. The sooner you tell them she cheated, the sooner you will have the proper support system. If you try go back, you'll have them protecting you when you're vulnerable. They can't do that if you don't tell them. Also, they'll be able to help with canceling of the wedding plans. She's had a physical and emotional affair for your whole relationship. Give her back to Sasha for her to realize Sasha doesn't want her either and is stringing her along. Now for the mini update. Thanks for the well wishes, everyone. I won't be outing Sasha, no matter how horrible this was. I don't know her in any way, and I don't know why she hasn't come out yet. I'd rather just not think about her at all. But I took advice from some of the comments and sat down with my brother and sister-in-law tonight. I just said she was cheating on me, and my sister-in-law went into full type-a mode. She and my brother will be helping me cancel things I paid for and get my money back. I'm moving in with them for the time being because my ex's name is on the lease for the apartment, not mine. Things are rough right now, but it'll get better sooner or later. Last story. I just woke up to a bunch of messages from my oldest friend in life saying she's about to marry and can't keep me in her life anymore. I'm mad. It's not like we had a flirting friendship or that we even lives in the same city nowadays. We hadn't even been talking those last few months. But I didn't realize anything was wrong, as it's not abnormal for us to go a couple months without talking. Yeah, okay, she also happened to be my first girlfriend. But honestly, that was over 10 years ago, and both of us were thoroughly over it. Damn it, we both used to help each other on romantic matters all the time. Then today, I woke up to a bunch of messages of her saying how she's about to marry, which I didn't even knew she was engaged, and one of the main reasons for their discussions is how she keeps the door open for people in her past. That's so BS. What the heck kind of reason for an argument is that? This feels 100% like a super controlling relationship, and it looks like she's diving headfirst into a bad idea. And I can't even talk to her about it because she went ahead and blocked me into every social media we've got. Now I'm worried about what's going to happen to her. But at the same time, I'm super mad she decided to cut me out of her life like that. Freaking witch. She was one of the 2 persons I trusted in this world. I'm not her father, and her decision is her decision, and if that's what she's going to do, then that is it. She's just another person who leaves my life when it's no longer profitable to be around me. That's going to the therapist, for sure. Damn it, I'm angry right now, but I know this is going to become a kind of sadness I'm gonna carry with me forever. She was my best friend, and now she's just a bitter memory. Even if she goes through a change of heart and tries to re-establish contact, I'll never be able to forgive her. Damn, I freaking hate people. That's exactly the kind of nonsense that makes me need therapy. I'm sad already. First thought that came to mind for me is that she didn't tell either of you about the other. So when her fiancé found out, probably gave her an ultimatum. I mean, it's not like there was anything to find out about. If he looked into our conversation, all he found was a video showing the turtles that were born in my yard a couple weeks ago. If you were her best friend, you definitely would know she's engaged. Maybe it's a one-sided friendship. Exactly, LMAO. He said it's normal for them to not talk for months on end, but now he's angry he didn't know she's engaged. You lost me at calling her a freaking witch. Exactly. Why are people coddling this dude? First off, even under normal circumstances, opposite-sex friendships tend to end when one gets serious with someone. It's normal and he should have been prepared for that possibility. Secondly, he sounds like a freaking pill. She wants to be married and happy, and this idiot is calling her a witch and talking about how much he hates people, and then immediately accuses her husband of being controlling instead of taking responsibility. What does he bring to that friendship that she needs to hold on to?